World is a different place today than last 24 hours. We are watching a lot of things happen here and there, and we are watching this in the price action. There is a possibility that we are breaking to the downside and we may come back down to 0.475. But keep in mind, on the other end, you are watching oil going higher, coming somewhere close to like 5% for the day. Gold, a safe haven asset, is bouncing back up as we see things moving on that negative direction. But if you are someone who is focusing on XRP, who has XRP in his portfolio, this is actually a huge news. Yes, the world is not the great place right now. That's one of the reasons why you don't have that liquidity towards these assets. But if you do understand how things are evolving, these are like the maximum point of information coming into the market, and these will be valued and priced in. But what we are watching on the other end, if you actually understand this clearly, I mean, if you actually look at the macro scenario and how things are moving, there is a lot of different things which you have to keep in mind. This impacts the entire region. Then comes other newses like this. So if you actually look at that, that means the oil price is going to go up. That means the inflation is going to go back up. Again, the central banks will have to do something, even if their actions doesn't actually change the situation, but they want to actually reduce the inflation. That's the wording which they always use. But remember, this is what Bitcoin is showing you. It can drop back to these levels. It is still okay to do that. The way you should be looking at it is like this. If we bounce off from 26,900 close to 27, that's great. If we come back down to 26, now you may see some consolidation before you bounce back up with all that's happening around us. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10 person of this world. When we talk about all these possibilities, we do have to understand what's the short term structure. We do have to keep in mind what that means on a medium term level. Because if you look at the RSI here, you can see that level was a support for an extended period of time. Now, if you get rejected and make a lower low, that's a concern. But if you don't, that's a bullish thing to watch. Now, what does that mean in terms of price? Look for 0.49 region. If we do bounce off from there or above that, that means bulls are super strong. They really don't care about much. They are heavy on this asset. If we see 0.46 level, that means sellers are still there in the market. They're trying to push this asset to the downside, but buyers are not giving up at that moment. But if you break that level, now buyers are slowing down. They care a little bit more about the macro geopolitical situation than the risk on asset, because we are watching that gold as a safe haven asset is attracting more buys. But there's also, in another sense, you broke this level. That's a key level, which is good. Now you're coming back to retest this. What if we get rejected at this level? That means gold is going much lower to put in a new low towards the macro base or the support level. So it may get a lot of attention to this point and it can still drop to that level. But if you actually see gold going back up to these levels and consolidating a little bit and breaking through, that means the geopolitical situation is changing the current scenario of safe haven assets. People are moving into that scenario. Now, it also is completely visible on the part of dollar, because you're watching gold going up, you're watching dollar going up. That doesn't actually make sense. But a lot of people consider dollar as a safe haven asset too. So during these times of volatility, they will jump back into that price can bounce back up. So that's a possibility. which we should not neglect. Understand that we broke through this resistance level. We're coming back down, and if that bounce happens, that's going to be a macro retest and bounce, which would show you this was the trading range, this was the Wyckoff pattern, the spring event, and you're going back up on the short-term horizon, which means these ranges are in card. Now, what does that mean to crypto? That's something really important, because if we are in the crypto market, we do have to understand, are we getting a lot of liquidity? Not much. Not much. We're still there. We are slowly moving back up, that's for sure. But what we really want to know, for me personally, is how the markets open tomorrow. When the market opens, the holiday is here this week, and as soon as that's over and the markets around the globe is opening up, we would really like to see how this evolve. If they are taking a huge hit at this point, that means markets are moving completely out of the risk on assets. They're already dropping down. We already have a lot of economical issues. And if we do see them breaking to the downside, that means a lot of money is about to move out from the stock market, which is way, way bigger than the crypto market. So even 5% of it moving into crypto market can hold crypto market and push it back higher. So one of these situations is going to most likely evolve. If Bitcoin tends to bounce back up from 26,900, 27, that's going to push the bullish momentum back to the upside. Now, the thought process of what if we are up for a settlement, right? The question is, yeah, that's a possibility which we cannot actually deny at this point in time, where SEC is literally being slapped left and right. Literally. Now, it's just like a school bully coming out, and then the village just bangs it. That's what Brad Garlinghouse was kind of highlighting, right? SEC got slapped by the court, and that means before this actually goes into that level where it's complete judgment against the ACC, and SEC literally have to put a hole on the ground and put the head down, they will have to go for a settlement. That at this point, Ripple is on the negotiating power. They have the ability to go against the ACC. They can be aggressive. So if that happens, that's going to be extra bullish for the price of XRP. And at the same time, we are watching things like this. It's becoming the bridge asset of the world. Mexico kind of highlight the fact that it is Central Bank of Mexico is embracing XRP or XRP ledger. So they actually go back to this document, highlight this as the possible movement. So I'm actually looking at this and saying like, okay, this is Ripple's document showing how this moves. And I was thinking like, okay, if that's an exchange being used in between, maybe it's that Bitso, which we have already seen before. But again, the issue here is understanding the fact that not whether it's a breaking news or, something old, but understanding the fact that central banks are moving into this area of CBDCs. If they have a lot of liquidity moving into a different country and coming back from there, that means they need that corridor active and with less friction. They don't want high friction networks. That's where XRP kind of gives the edge. Now, if you actually go back into the market on the technical side of this, there's XRP to Bitcoin. I was actually discussing about this back in the group. So now, literally, when this is happening in the market, if you are looking at things with concern, some of them are holding on to the support and bouncing off. Some of them are just coming back down to test the support. That's bullish. Some of them are just at that support. If they drop a little bit, support is done. Some of them are already below it. So if you have those concerns, you want to know which of these assets are becoming a red flag, this link, Patreon, it can actually help you massively. I actually try to post things there as much as possible so that you guys know what's evolving, which of these assets are slowly moving up, which of them are changing the trend. Now, coming back to this perspective. Yeah, we actually understand that this is the short-term structure we're watching. If we break this to the downside, it's fine, but watch out for a potential fake out. If you come back down to this level and bounce off, that is going to be bullish. It's just being a fake out or, trapping some of these sellers before the price actually moves back up. Now, why do I think that's a possibility in the market? Because on the macro XRP BTC chart, this is a possibility. You are still at a support level. And the price has been respecting that level for an extended period of time. So over the years, you are actually watching that this level played significant role. So if we do manage to bounce off, it's great. Now, the new trend line, which is developing here, shows there is a possibility we may actually drop. And the divergence is active. So even if the RSI drops to this level of support, that is going to be a huge buying opportunity. I believe that we will see a bounce off from that level if we are to break through this range, which actually depends on what the Bitcoin is actually doing for sure, because XRP is right now kind of a stable coin. It's somewhere close to 0.5. It's not moving much up, much down. It's giving all that needed for the payments mechanism for sure, but not much for the speculators or the investors like us. But you get the point. So once you understand how the macroeconomic situation right now and then the geopolitical scenario evolving with Israel and Palestine, how it unveils, how it actually goes on. Because we already have one war going on, and this is another one on the other part of the world. And I'm like, this doesn't help the world economy, right? Both sides will have their own positive arguments to make, but you also have to understand this actually impacts the entire world. This is a new situation in which we are in, where war is erupting in different places of the world. But for the financial markets and the economy as a whole, this can become a burden. So we need to actually see how the markets move as it is coming back up. Because if oil is kind of showing on the short-term scenario, like, this was a support level, you broke below that, and we were like, okay, great, oil price is going to come back down. But this macro level is acting as a support. We discussed about this a few weeks back, but we didn't know this kind of a geopolitical scenario is going to come and push it back up. But right now, you're watching that from that support resistance zone, which has been there for an extended period of time, this is bouncing back up. We saw that in the RSI. We kind of highlighted the fact that we are at a support in the RSI, and we came back up. That was a long push to the upside. Now, the question is, did a lot of investors knew this was happening? I really don't know, but this kind of makes me confused. I mean, that generally doesn't happen. Maybe they can actually put in the argument like there is already a war going on. It's been there for some time, and maybe they are actually doing it on that front. But again, we really don't know. What we do know is the fundamentals of this asset is increasing. Is the actual part that the blockchain and CBDC era is here. Blockchain has established its future. There is no doubt on that. For the price action, that's where we are all focusing on. Short-term, micro, medium, all of us really want to see a big candle popping through to the upside. If we get that, that's good. But right now, on a macro level, we are focused on the price dropping, making a new support, and bouncing off. Putting in a high is going to be our primary focus. So guys, if you received value, smash that like button for me. That supports the channel a lot. And I'm watching, like, a lot of you are actually smashing that like button. A video with just 3,000 views is getting 500 plus likes. That's like, a huge thing if I'm looking at that, because not a lot of YouTubers in the XRP community get more than 15% of the likes. So for all those guys who are smashing that like button, thank you again. Now, again, if you are looking at things like this on different assets, the possibilities of different assets, the breakouts, a trade when I enter, when I exit, or skim or take profits, if you want to know that, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So that's it for today, guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.